Hello and welcome to the Virtual Skilled Crafts College and Career Panel. My name is Casey Quinones and I am a college and career coach for ElevateEdAZ. ElevateEdAZ is the education initiative of the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation that is connecting business and education. Whether you decide to enroll in college or enter the workforce, ElevateEdAZ will make sure you get experiences that help you succeed in school and beyond. Today's discussion with industry leaders and education partners will help you gain a greater understanding of various pathways in the skilled crafts industry. We would like to extend our appreciation to today's panelists for their willingness to share their knowledge and expertise, as well as insights into college and career resources that will help you succeed during and after high school. Additionally, we would like to thank our partners at Ideas Collide and Build Your Future Arizona for their collaboration on today's panel. Build Your Future Arizona, a program of the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation, helps create a sustainable skilled craft workforce by creating awareness about high-paying construction careers, training opportunities, and mapping paths to employment in these high-demand occupations. We will begin our panel today with quick introductions from each of our panelists who will share more about their roles and the industries that they work in. We'll go ahead and kick it off with our first panelist, Reyes from DP Electric.
Hi, my name is Reyes with DP Electric, and I'm a full-time estimator.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next, we'll go ahead and go to Zwar from SSC Underground.
Hi, I'm Zorr. I am a vacuum truck lead foreman. I design and locate underground utilities.
Excellent. Thank you. Next, we'll go to Aron Thompson from Corbins Electric.
Yeah, I'm Aron Thompson, Vice President here at Corbins Electric and partner. So I directly oversee our virtual construction, prefabrication, and our safety department here.
Excellent. And then we'll go to Mike Blanton from South Mountain Community College.
Hi, my name is Mike Blanton, South Mountain Community College. We run a construction trades program here to bridge you between high school and going to the workforce. We have electrical, plumbing, and carpentry in our programs.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we'll go ahead and start off with the first question of the day, just to get a little bit more of an idea of how you decided to go into the industry that you're in. So we'll go ahead and start off with this one with Aron. Could you tell us a little bit more about some specific experiences that you had in your education, whether that was K-12 or even post-secondary, that contributed to you going into your career pathway?
Yeah, mine's is interesting. I was working in the banking industry, and one of the interesting parts about that is you get to see everybody's paychecks as they come and cash it. I guess back when they used to cash their check every Friday. And one of the things that I recognized real quick is the construction workforce that was coming in substantially made most of the time more money that I saw on their checks. And I always enjoyed working with my hands, seeing things that were built, and that caused me to change. I was trying to figure out at the time how I could do education. I was concerned about financial debt and how I was going to pay for my schooling. And the construction industry gave me an opportunity to get into that, and they offered to pay for my education of going to an apprenticeship school and do it that way. So for me, it was a great opportunity where I saw a lot of financial gain for myself in that.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Mike, I know that you're working in the post-secondary space now. Were you in industry, and can you tell us a little bit more about how you got to where you are?
Oh, sure. I grew up in the industry. My whole family were in building trades of one sort or another. And when I got out of high school, there was no question as to what I was going to do. I was going to be a carpenter like my dad was a carpenter. And so I did that. I served a carpenter apprenticeship here in Arizona, worked at it 10 years, and then a friend of mine started a plumbing company. So I served 5-year plumbing apprenticeships and worked in the field over 22 years in commercial, industrial, and residential. And after about 23 years or so, I decided I wanted to do something else, so I went and got a degree at Northern Arizona. And it was a teaching degree. So the first job that came available, believe it or not, was a building trades instructor. So Of course, I had the background to get certified for that, so I spent the next 20 years teaching building trades from the high school level to Department of Labor apprenticeship programs. And so I've done about 20 years working, 20 years teaching, and that's why I came here to South Mountain to help to build this program that we have now.
Excellent. Eddie, can you share with us a little bit more about how you got into your position?
Yeah, it's a family-owned company. It's actually my family's company, so kind of like the same thing Michael had. I had no doubt about what I was going to do after high school. I like mathematics and I like science, so designing and locate has to do with a lot of that stuff, and kind of came right out of high school and jumped into the field, and they paid for multiple schools and helped me with the different design programs and stuff like that, and yeah, it was pretty much a get-go from high school. So
Awesome. And then Irvyn, can you tell us a little bit more about your pathway to DP?
Yeah, so in high school, I actually got into a welding program, and I loved it. I mean, I was hands-on, and after I graduated, I decided to go into community college, and I saw that they offered a lot of construction paths, and I went to this apprenticeship program, and the company that I was with paid for all 4 years, and eventually I ended up at DP.
Excellent. I love how we have such a diverse group of individuals entering into the pathway from different places. So I would love to hear from each of you, what was your first job? Obviously, maybe some of you went directly from high school into this position, or maybe you've held other positions. But I would love to hear more about what is your first job and what are some of the skills that you still use today in your current position. We'll go ahead and start off with Mike for this one.
Thank you. Well, if I discount the jobs I had while I was in high school, because I worked at a gas station going through high school, but my first job actually was on Pinto Valley Mine rebuild up between Superior and Miami, Arizona. It was my first job as an apprentice. I was there the length of the job, which was about 22 months for our part. And I didn't know, of course I grew up in the field, working with my dad and my uncles and my brothers, but when you learn it formally, it's a little bit different. So I jumped into the process there, and I learned a lot, and mainly what I learned was pay attention to the older guys on the job, because they have all the information. And if you want to learn anything, get with someone that's good and stay with them, and they will teach you what you need to know.
That's some great advice for sure. Aaron, how about you? What was your first job?
Yeah, like I had stated, my discounting mowing yards and all the other fun things you do as a teenager growing up, but my first real job that I look at that I had to provide for my family was banking. I was working as a teller. Wasn't satisfying to me. It was a job that I needed to get to take care of. I think a lot of us get into, we jump at the first thing that's going to pay some bills and the car insurance, and put gas in the tank to do the things that I needed to do. But the things I took out of that, and I think we're all probably on the same page. Every position and every life experience I've had, I could take learning opportunities from it. And that one in particular is you deal with the different people all day long. There's a different people that come up to the counter with different concerns and different problems. And construction is very similar. As much as we're building buildings and doing our trades, there's a lot of people interaction teams. It's one of the things that we struggle the most in construction is really good leaders, good people skills. So that was one of the things that I took from that is how to defuse upset people and calm down situations and kind of talk it through.
Excellent. Irvyn, how about you?
I actually started doing electrical right after high school. When I graduated, I went right into the apprenticeship program. And as you're in the apprenticeship program, you're obviously going to be working at the same time. So they're paying for my school. I'm working full time. I mean, you're making money right off the bat, which is amazing. And it's offered all in Arizona, and now at DP we're actually offering schooling for apprentices, and I think that's really cool, man, because I started from the bottom where I was, the kid going to the warehouse to grabbing parts to the guy inside the trench. But I mean, at the same time, I was making good money, and every semester that I would pass, I was making a little more every single time, and then eventually you're at the top of the list, and it's pretty awesome.
Excellent. How about you, Eddie?
Yeah, I started right out of high school. I jumped headfirst in and kind of just took on the role of just trying to gain as much knowledge from the guys that's been here before me as I could, and really just sat back and learned from them, watched what they did, and they've had countless mistakes that I've learned from, and we've overcome difficult jobs and difficult people to work for. There is definitely a diverse amount of people that you have to deal with, and it really helps your people skills, not just in work but outside of work, how to diffuse situations and kind of bring everybody together and figure out how to get a certain job done. So yeah, yeah, that's about it.
Definitely. So I think that something that you all touched on was this idea that you're learning from other people that are within the company that you're working for, the position that you're in. And something that we like to really talk to students about is this idea of finding a mentor. So I would love to hear from Irvyn. I know you said you kind of learned from people on the job. How important is it to have a mentor in your job, and how do you go about seeking out those people to serve as a mentor for you?
I've actually had a lot of mentors from day one when I first went into school at the apprenticeship program. All my teachers were all electricians in certain companies, and they would all just push me to want to keep growing and move up in the company and learn quick. By them teaching me, I was already, I needed those mentors to get me where I'm at right now, and they really helped me through my career.
Aron, would you say that there's a mentor that stood out in your career at all?
Yeah, definitely ones that has stood out to me, and I have one in particular, and I still keep in. He's not with our company anymore, and I still keep in close contact with him and have for a number of years because, and I think Michael touched on it really well. Is I quickly cling to those that knew years and years of information. I'm a firm believer, and I can learn from good and from not good people of what to do and what not to do. And, finding someone that really pushes you outside. And I think in the trades, what's interesting, and everybody here probably, my mentor was probably the hardest on me, yet defended me the most to everybody else. And I owe a great deal of gratitude. I'm where I'm at today in my career because I surrounded myself with those people that were aspiring to be better, and I think if we all looked, most of us that are successful in our careers, look at the people that we cling to, it was typically the people that were hardworking, people that pushed themselves, and you kind of, it's fun. Construction, I've always said, take the worst job and give it to me with a bunch of people I enjoy, and I'll figure out a fun way to do it. Have a good time doing it. So yeah, my mentor was a big role in my life.
That's a great perspective. So I know that mentors obviously help you in terms of just giving you some guidance and some of those skills, but I think that something else that's really important is just this idea of being able to take risks in your position and being able to advocate for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Mike for this question. I would love to hear more. How do you learn to really just take risks in your industry, advocate for yourself, and kind of what you're looking for?
Okay, sure. One thing about construction is you're surrounded with people, all various types of people. And if you're going to get ahead, and if you're going to learn, if you're going to move up, there's an element of taking risks in there. There certainly is. I was fortunate enough working with a guy for 5 years straight, the carpenter that trained me. And what he would do if the time was okay and if it wasn't going to cost too much money, he would let me make the mistakes. He would show me how to do it, but if I built it wrong, I just built it wrong. And he'd say, tear that apart and, you know, do it this way. But he always let me go ahead and do it on my own. And then what that gave me was, when they'd bring me a set of plans, I had the confidence at that point from making so many mistakes that I could look into the drawings and take my time and lay out what I needed to do and get it laid out on the floor properly. But you have to take a giant leap in your own ability, faith in your own abilities to do that. So you're kind of taking a risk every day on the job when you're in any type of position of doing layout or things like that. Just like the gentleman that's the estimator, you know, you kind of need to be spot on with your estimation. So I know there's many times when he wasn't, but the people above us in these companies, they stick with us because they know there's a certain percentage of mistakes you're going to make as you're training and as you're growing, and that's okay. And you'll find that in outstanding companies. They figure that in. They want us to take risk within our knowledge base, and they allow for that. So that's the way you get trained properly.
Excellent. Eddie, how about you? Have you encountered a time when you really had to take a risk in your career, and how did that work out for you?
Yeah, definitely. We take risks every day. We work around live utilities, and you know, you just have to have the confidence in yourself that you're making the right choice. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you make the wrong choice, and it backfires on you. But that's where it goes to, you know, you having those mentors, you having those superintendents, foremans that are with you by your side, and everybody understanding the goal and how you got to that place. But I mean, yeah, you just have to be very confident in yourself, and sometimes it does backfire, and sometimes it works out in your favor. But you just have to try to put your head down and get the job done the safest way you know how. And sometimes it doesn't always plan out that way, but we try it every day. And it says you learn from your mistakes, so I'd rather make a mistake and learn from it than not make that mistake and just keep doing it the same way I've been doing it. So
Exactly. Definitely some good advice there. So we've touched a little bit about your positions and kind of how you got to where you are, but for someone that maybe isn't as familiar with your role specifically, I would love to just hear, what does a typical day look like in your position? And I know that might be a very interesting question to pose, considering that, you know, right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, or perhaps your day changes from day to day. But just an overall general, would love to hear whoever would like to go first. Just tell us a little bit more about what a day looks like in your position.
So a day in my position is pretty long, to be honest. I show up at 6 a.m. I turn my screens on, depending on what kind of job I'm doing, but I'm usually on screen counting every device, every single fixture, every gear piece, counting it, inputting it, calling the supply houses, asking for prices, putting it all together, coming up with this big gigantic number that me and my coworkers go over to make sure everything's there. Just like Michael touched on earlier, is, you know, before I used to make a lot of mistakes, and I always had that person that would help me out, and I still have that mentor behind me helping me out, or any questions that I have, I usually ask and it will be answered. That's the good thing about construction as well. And I mean, my day every single day, calling the GCs, asking them how our numbers looked, to taking them to happy hours here and there. Just, I mean, it just depends what kind of day it is and what kind of project I'm working on, but it's definitely a long day.
Eddie, how about you? What does a typical day look like for you?
Day to day, it changes. I mean, like I said, so I'm on the locate side, so sometimes you're trenching on a 36-inch Kinder Morgan gas line, finding an anomaly, which means there's something wrong with that pipe. And other days you're doing 20 potholes trying to find sewer laterals, electrical lines, gas lines, fiber. It definitely changes hour by hour out here, depending on what you come across, depending on the situation that the GCs need, and it's definitely keeps you on your toes. It doesn't disappoint when you think you're gonna get bored. You definitely switch pretty fast. So yeah, we keep going and we go at a fast pace. So keeps you on your toes.
Definitely. Aaron, how about you?
Oh, mine has changed over the years, and I'm a people person. I love what I do. In my management role, it's a lot of problem solving, right? And I think that's the exciting part that Ed touched on. Never one of my days is the same. I can come in most of the time. Coming in and having a planned schedule changes pretty quickly, but it's 1 minute I can be out in a fabrication shop to figure out a new way to build something in a quicker way, collaborating with the team. The next minute I'm in here looking at a 3D model of a high-tech facility with computer programmers that used to be gamers or whatever that their career path was, or interior designers, and we're flying through a 3D model, which is pretty exciting. And the next is looking at business plans and what is the next projects we're going after, and planning for the future, and spending a heavy time looking at I think the biggest focus of my day-to-day is looking out my succession, right? Who am I mentoring for the next level? Who's going to take 20 years ago I was wet behind the ear cleaning floors like some of the others, and now in an ownership role, and it's important for me to pay that forward. So that's a heavy part of my day as well.
Excellent. Now, Mike, you are in a little bit of a different role, of course, now that you have the opportunity to be on the teaching side. I'd love to hear more about not only your day-to-day, but if a student is enrolled in a program at South Mountain Community College, what would that experience look like for them?
Sure. First, I'll go through what it is I do for my day. I'm up early. If you worked in construction, you're up early, and I'm older, so I get up early anyway. But my typical day is I'll get up and I'll check my Canvas site for my program. Our program here is 50% online and 50% hands-on in the class, in the shop. The material that's online is generally what you would get sent home to do for homework or something you should be studying for the next day. But so I check that first, and then I check the student progress, where they're at with their grades, because we do test here. You really have to know what you're doing in order to get a good start into the industry. Then I'll get down here and I'll go into the shop and I'll check my materials and I'll check my tools and get everything together, set up for the students going to be coming in that day. Then I will, as soon as the students get in, we hold a safety meeting first thing, go over what we all saw the day before or the week before that may have been unsafe and what we can do to change it. Then I'll get them lined out on their projects that they're working on at that time, whether it's framing on a house or doing form work, or if they're running underground plumbing in, whatever it is they're doing on that day, I'll get that lined out. Then at the end of the day, we will do a review of what we did during the day and figure out. I always ask them, I never ask them what you do right. I always ask them what you do wrong and what could you do better. And they know what they did wrong or what they did that took them too long, and they kind of learn from that. And then when they're gone, I do the administrative part of the program, which is I call our sponsoring contractors, of which we have 4. We have McCarthy Building Companies, Haskins Electric, 3G Construction, and Brewer Companies, plumbing, electrical, and carpentry. And I'll contact them because this program is built over what they want for entry-level tradesmen to come to them so they can train them. You don't come out of here as a carpenter or as a plumber apprentice. You come out of here with basic knowledge of the construction craft that you're zeroing in on. And so I will talk to them and see how it's going. And our students are guaranteed an interview when they go through our 16-week program. And that's we're set up to where we have a 16-week program, one semester, and for residential in all three trades. And also we have a second semester in commercial in all three trades if you want to do that. However, the deal is you come in and go 16 weeks and you have a guaranteed job interview with one of our sponsoring companies. Now, does that mean you'll get the job? No, it depends on you. If you come through here and you do the things you're supposed to do and you learn what you need to know, which is what everyone basically does, then you'll go out to work for one of these companies. And the good companies, like the ones these guys are working for, they train their own employees. They just want someone that knows that in order to keep a job, you have to have transportation, you have to be willing to work, you have to be on time, and you have to be able to get along with other people, because construction is a crew-based industry. Unless you're doing piecework out on your own, there's other people around you have to deal with. So I do all the administrative part on it. Then I'll tour job sites because I always keep up on the standards of the industry, because construction technology is changing immensely. It's a lot different than it was when I served my apprenticeship and worked in the trade. So I've always kept up on that. And then I guess that would be about it. About then, I'm home. So I'm here about 12 hours doing that. My main concern is getting students, into the workforce.
Definitely. And it sounds like you have a really comprehensive way of getting those students prepared, which is awesome. Something that I've heard everyone touch on a little bit is what is an apprenticeship. So, Irvyn, I know that you mentioned you went through an apprenticeship with DP. Is that correct? So can you tell us a little bit more about what an apprenticeship is, and if it's something that a high school student should maybe be considering when it comes to getting into whatever craft they're looking at?
Yeah, I definitely would recommend anybody that wants to be in a construction trade to get into an apprenticeship program. I did an electrical apprenticeship program, but there is, there's probably welding, there's drywall, there's framing, there's plumbing. Ours is, we started our own at DP Electric for anybody who wants to join our team, or any student that would, love to be an electrician one day. But yeah, I do recommend all the students to actually get into the trade. I mean, there's so much money there that people don't know about. People think that the construction workers make low money and that they don't make a good income, or they have a crappy lifestyle. But in reality, that's kind of the opposite. We make pretty good money, and if you really, really want to, you can make a lot of money. And I know all these students and kids, are actually wanting to make good money. And this is one of those careers that I definitely recommend them to get into. It's hands-on. It's you enjoy it so much. But as far as the apprenticeship program, you learn theories of electrical, you learn how to bend pipe, you learn how to pull wire, you learn, it has a lot of math in it, but I mean, it's fun, it's enjoyable. It's definitely, it'll keep you busy.
For sure. Aron, I saw you shaking your head. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience, either as an apprentice or seeing individuals with an apprenticeship?
Yeah, so just like Irvyn, I went through an apprenticeship program here in the Valley for electrical, and like anything else, you get out of that what you apply yourself in. What I really enjoyed about that apprenticeship program, and most of the ones here in Arizona, there's a number of them that you'll graduate with just short, besides your base, your maths and English 101, 102, those kind of things, of having an associate's degree. And so most of these indentured programs are college accredited programs. And so the nice thing about that is you get those credits if you want to continue on in your education. But you know, as Irvyn said, and myself, that was applied that I was able to still provide, make money, provide for my family while I was going to school, and I didn't have to pay it back. So my company invested in me, and I know, you know, most of the other contractors that are here on the phone, and there are some really good construction companies that are out there that really believe investing in their employees. And, you know, there's some great opportunities. I am very fortunate that applying myself through that, my family's never had to go without. I've made good money over my career. You know, we talked about starting early in construction. Not everybody likes that, but I sure liked getting off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a summer day and hitting the river on the way home and fishing. I was many times home before my kids got home from school, right? So there is a big benefit in doing that. Yep, you work hard. Yes, you get hot and sweaty, but what a very fulfilling. So, you know, my schooling to me was something, and I think all of us have touched on. It's important, right? There's a science. If I make mistakes, places can burn down, people can get hurt. And so my schooling was really important. The science and math and how electricity worked was something that I think really sparked an interest in me. Ours was going to school. At that time, it was 2 nights a week. And honestly, if you applied yourself, and Irvyn, you probably agree here, if you applied yourself, you were going to get good grades. It's not something that you were having to spend an immense amount of time studying and digging into your personal life. If you did that, we usually get off at 2:30, 3 o'clock. School was starting at 5 or 5:30. I studied in between that. Go hit a Starbucks, hit a library, study, and then go to school. So it really worked well into the lifestyle that I wanted and gave me the free time to enjoy the things I wanted to enjoy.
Love that. That's so important to have that freedom. Eddie, how about you? In terms of training or apprenticeship, what has that experience looked like for you?
Oh yeah, it was on-the-job training. We don't really have an apprenticeship. We are, you get hired on, we train you, and yeah, I mean the money's there for sure. The construction money is really good. When I was 22 years old, I'm 23 now. At 22 years old, I had my own house, own vehicle, baby on the way. So being that young and that successful, I mean, it just goes to show construction, you can make a great lifestyle for yourself and your family. As far as schooling, back in high school, it definitely helped to really pay attention to the mathematical side and the science side. And I mean, especially with us, we're working around live utilities. That's your sewers, your gases, stuff like that. So you need to know what can kind of spark that and make sure you don't get around too dangerous situations. And yeah, but other than that, it's all on the job training. The guys around here really help out and make sure they take their time and make sure you understand everything before we go out and let you do it yourself. So just depends on the person, but usually we try to get them trained within a month and get you out on your way. So.
Excellent. So it sounds like hearing your stories, a student in high school has the opportunity to jump right into the field and really get some of that hands-on experience. And so I think that that's definitely really important for students to know that they're able to really make that transition seamlessly from high school into whatever pathway they're looking at. So I kind of have two last questions that I want to ask everyone to share their input on. First being, what advice give to a student that's considering entering into one of the skilled trades? And then with that, what is a good next step for a student knowing that maybe they're about to graduate or maybe they have a couple years left in their high school experience? What's a good first step for them to take in order to be putting themselves on the pathway to success within the industry? So what advice and then what next steps would you have? I'll open it up to whoever wants to go first.
I'll answer that if I can, if you don't mind. First thing is, if you are in high school right now and am I on?
You're good.
Okay, thank you. If you're in high school right now and you're thinking about going into the trades, I think you should seriously do it. Now, here at South Mountain with our program, what we do is prepare you to go into the trades. Now, a lot of these companies have their own programs, and if you can get hired, they'll take you on and train you. And what we're doing here is seeing that we're like a bridge between that. You come here and you learn the basics and get an interview with the company, and then if you learn what you're supposed to, then you'll get a job. The money is great. I don't know where people ever got the idea. We have a stigma about the industry that has to be overcome, just like we need to overcome the 50% of the workforce we're lacking, which is female participation. I've had apprentices, both male and female, work for me, and they're equal. Some can lift more than others, but some are smarter than others. I have one girl in my class right now. She's 19 years old, and she's in here with a bunch of guys, and we have a board set up in the shop with a drawing on it, and they keep going back and forth and looking at the numbers, and she goes over and takes a picture of it and goes to her workplace and never leaves her station. So she has a good way of thinking, and that means a lot in construction. I would say if you're in high school, learn some fractions, know how to add together 14 feet 7 3/8 and 12 feet 4 3/4, things like that. Make sure you have a handle on measurement. Talk to people that are in the trades, and come to South Mountain. That's my advice. Come to South Mountain Community College, and we'll get you started in the business.
Love that. And just in the neighborhood as well. Go ahead, Aaron.
You know, I'm asked all the time, what if I wanted to get into it, or what advice would you give me? And I think, you know, my story is a little unique in the fact that I started off as entry level, and 20 years later being a partner. And you know, the advice I give to people is, you know, take a look around. Whether you're in school or life or in career, it doesn't take a whole lot to outwork most of the time those that are around you. And, you know, putting in the little bit of effort, you know, volunteering for the job that nobody else wants to do. Nobody wants to dig a ditch in Arizona in the middle of the summer. But, you know, it was a great weight loss plan, and got to exercise, and they paid me to do it at work. So it was really hard to screw it up. So, you know, I think for me, it was, you know, be willing to do whatever that's out there. Every step of that digging in the heat definitely made me have some empathy for the guys later that I was directing, asking them to go do the same thing. It is very people oriented. If you were going to take a next step right now, I would tell you to, you know, just like Michael said, the math, I think, you know, Ed's hit it pretty heavily. The math and sciences, if you enjoy that, you know, we use it quite a bit in construction. I don't know a trade that's not having to use the math skills on a daily basis. And don't be afraid if you're not good at it. You'll definitely learn the skill in the trade. That's nothing I would shy away from. And we're not talking being a calculus major. It's knowing your basic math formulas. You know, and it's nothing, and I know at times, and I've volunteered teaching at a lot of high schools and college stuff, because there is a reputation out there of construction. But as each one of us is, I've had a lot of fun. I've seen a lot of really cool construction jobs, from the locker rooms and being able to work on the field at the Cub Spring Training Facility, to going back a house at the Cardinal Stadium, and being involved with a lot of really cool tunnel systems over at ASU. Some really fun, interesting things. It's very different day to day, but I think what's unique about construction is, you know, Irvyn's doing estimating, right? I'm doing something different. I have people that are working for me that were in graphic design or interior design that are now heavily involved with construction, designing buildings in 3D animation that they just didn't think. The world is really opening up. If you're a technology person, HoloLens, hologram visual things, surveying, layout. There's just so many aspects to that that are really fun. But I think any one of us, being honest, it's not difficult in the construction industry to get ahead and be noticed. It's just doing the little bit extra, right? And I find it very fulfilling to walk away every day and see something I built. My kids think I actually built the entire building, because every time I drive by, I tell them, "Oh, I built that," and they think I built everything by hand, and I'm not one to tell them any different. But I find that very fulfilling, right? And that next step, find something, and then find someone that's going to mentor and coach you along. Don't be afraid to push yourself out of your comfort area. Right, I think everyone on this phone has been uncomfortable in their career path at different times. It's okay, and I think there's a reputation in construction that it's rough and tough, and everybody's going to give you a hard time. There are those out there, but overall, it's a pretty fun place to work. Good banter with a lot of good people.
Excellent, thank you.
So, Aaron pretty much hit the nail in the head. He was spot on for everything. If I was a student and I wanted, to get into the trade or something, I would get my grades up. I would graduate from high school, because you always need to graduate from high school. And then just ask questions. Ask, hey, what career path can I take in the industry? There's, like he said, there's BIM, CAD, which is all computers. If you love computers, get into some kind of BIM program and learn. If you want to be hands-on, you could be anything: a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter, a roofer. There's just so much out there that people can do, and all you have to do is ask and graduate, and you shall receive. That's pretty much it, man. Just get out there and graduate and ask.
Excellent. Eddie, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'd say if you're in high school right now, definitely just focus on school, get through school, and graduate. My first step, though, I would really research and figure out what I want to get into. Welding, plumbing, electrical, a bunch of computer programs. Really look at yourself and figure out what you enjoy and what you think you're going to be happy with. Especially on those hard days, you want a job that you're definitely going to enjoy and not resent going into. But yeah, definitely ask around. There's plenty of people, and construction has definitely a stigma of rough and tough kind of guys, but 90% of the people out there are super, super helpful, very nice individuals, and we might look mean out there, but we all have a good time. We definitely are not scary. You come up to any one of us, and it will definitely help you out on your path, for sure.
Excellent.
Well, and Casey, one thing I want to add to that, there's some pretty cool, unique stories that come with that. Is, we had a young lady, and I'm glad Michael touched on it. This is not just a men's industry, right? Some of the best, hardest working, smartest, best of electricians that I know are females working for us, and they do a great job. Matter of fact, most of the ones I have working for me are easier to deal with than some of the men. But the nice part, we had a young lady from the South Mountain area that came to work for us. I judged a competition she was in, and she schooled everybody in the electrical part of it. And I offered her a job right out of school. And, her mom was actually driving her to work. She was working in our fabrication shop at the time. And her mom was emotional one day talking to me in broken Spanish, and her daughter was translating. I said, is she upset? Is she happy? And she said she's excited because I'm out of high school making more money than she does. And her mom was doing some odds and ends jobs to provide additional for the family. And I said, well, tell your mom to quit doing what she's doing, and I'll hire her tomorrow. And so funny story, as her mom works in our fabrication shop, and runs part of our stations and stuff out there, and has excelled in what she's doing in an air-conditioned shop with clean bathrooms and a break room. And her and her daughter get to work together on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, what people think of construction isn't what it is anymore. It's very much evolved and changed over the years.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. That's a really powerful note for us to end on, I think. So again, thank you to each of you for your participation and really valuable insights that you were able to provide the students today. ElevateEdAZ is really excited to continue providing these virtual work-based learning experiences for students to really garner some of those employability skills and career development while they're distance learning. So beginning in November, Elevate Your Network, which is virtual conversations with local employers, will highlight other various industries and their key aspects. And we're really appreciative to our partner Zovio for their financial support of this series. So for more information on Elevate Your Network and other programs of ElevateEdAZ, follow us on social media or visit our website at ElevateEdAZ.com. Be well, and we look forward to connecting again soon.